Your brain thinks Netflix is a dying prey. You are on the couch, remote in hand, 300 titles on the screen, and none of them look worth catching. Turns out that feeling has nothing to do with what you think. It goes back to an open field and an animal deciding whether to run. You open the app. A wall of posters fills the screen. Faces, explosions, a close-up of someone crying in the rain. Your thumb hovers over the first row. It scrolls past. It hovers again. 10 seconds pass. 20. You are not choosing anything yet. You are just scrolling. Beside the remote on your coffee table sits a second remote and a third. One app for movies. One for the shows everyone at work keeps mentioning. One more just for the live sports package you added in March. Every network built its own front door this year, and every front door has its own wall of posters behind it. You are not standing at one field of prey tonight. You are standing at the edge of 4 of them at once, and the bill for all 4 just landed in your inbox. Somewhere behind your eyes, a small gray organ is doing the real work. Your brain weighs about 3 pounds. That is roughly 2% of your body weight. And yet it burns close to 20% of your body's total energy, a fact neuroscientist Marcus Rachel documented at Washington University in St. Louis, using brain scans that track glucose moving through living tissue in real time. Picture a scale in a lab. On one side, a brain the size of a grapefruit. On the other side, a stack of coins representing a fifth of the entire body's fuel supply. The scale tips hard toward the small gray organ. Every second your brain runs, it is spending fuel it cannot easily replace. Whether you are solving a math problem or just staring at a thumbnail, deciding if a stranger's face looks interesting. Now picture a grocery store outside San Francisco. A folding table by the entrance. 24 jars of jam lined up in neat rows, small white labels, spoons resting beside them for tasting. Shoppers stop, dip a spoon, linger, dip another. Psychologists Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper set up that exact table in the year 2000. Some days the table held 24 flavors, other days only 6. More shoppers crowded around the big table. Fewer of them ever picked up a jar and walked to the register. The small table, with its narrow choice, sold far more jam by the end of the day. More options pulled people in. More options also sent them home empty-handed. Why would that be? Something in the brain treats a wall of options the same way it treats a threat. Your pulse ticks up at the homepage. Your shoulders tighten near the remote. You are not settling into entertainment. You are bracing for something. Psychologists gave this feeling a name: choice overload. A name is not an explanation. What is actually happening inside your skull when 200 thumbnails load at once? Here is what nobody tells you about that moment. It has nothing to do with you being lazy. It has everything to do with your brain actively protecting that fuel. Picture a lion on a dry savanna, low in the yellow grass, muscles coiled, eyes locked on a gazelle grazing half a mile off. Heat shimmers off the ground between them. The lion does not charge immediately. It runs a calculation first. How far is the sprint? How much energy will the chase burn? How much meat will that particular gazelle actually deliver if the chase succeeds? Ecologists Robert MacArthur and Eric Pianka described this calculation in 1966 in a theory they called optimal foraging. A decade later, biologist Eric Charnov sharpened it into a precise rule, now known as the marginal value theorem. An animal should abandon a hunting ground the instant the effort of staying there stops being worth the reward. No lion ever learned an equation. The math is wired straight into the muscle. Not every gazelle looks the same to the lion. Some lag behind the herd, limping, looking like an easy meal for almost no effort. Experienced predators do not trust that signal blindly. An easy carcass can be guarded by something bigger, already picked clean, or a trap set by the terrain itself. Real hunters stay suspicious of prey that looks like it is already dying, because dying is exactly the disguise real danger likes to wear. Here is the part that should surprise you. The lion is not being cautious out of fear. It is being efficient. A lion that chased every gazelle it saw, regardless of distance or odds, would starve to death surrounded by prey, exhausted long before the herd ran out. Walking away from a bad chase is not weakness. It is the entire reason foragers survive long enough to reproduce. Your brain runs that same calculation on a Tuesday night, in your living room, with a remote in your hand. Except the prey is not running across dry grass anymore. The prey is 200 rows of thumbnails. Each one might be worth 90 minutes of your evening. Each one might be a total waste of it. Your brain cannot tell which just by looking at a poster. So it does what a hunting animal does when the odds go foggy. It starts pricing the chase. Watch what happens next on the couch. Your thumb slows down. A show catches your eye for a second. A familiar actor's face, then loses you the moment the description loads underneath it. Another one flashes past without a second glance. A third gets an actual pause, 3 full seconds of attention, before you keep scrolling anyway. This is not indecision. This is a predator standing at the edge of a herd, running the numbers on which targets are worth chasing and which ones are not. Researchers studying real streaming sessions found something telling. Many viewers open the app, scroll for a minute or two, browsing dozens of titles without ever pressing play, then close the app and pick up a phone instead. That is not laziness dressed up in a hoodie. That is a lion turning away from a herd because the math did not work out. Something ancient in your wiring looked at 200 unclear targets, ran the numbers in a fraction of a second, and decided the hunt was not worth starting tonight. This happens again the next night, and the night after that. Your library grows, your options multiply, and somehow the feeling of having nothing to watch only gets stronger, not weaker, the bigger that library becomes. Every thumbnail on that home screen is a gazelle at an unknown distance. Some are close and easy, a familiar face, a franchise you already trust, practically grazing at arm's reach. Some would drag you across the entire Savanna for nothing, 90 wasted minutes of a plot that goes nowhere, and an ending you will regret before the credits finish rolling. Your brain cannot separate the two just by staring at a thumbnail for 2 seconds. So instead of hunting, it does the oldest trick a tired predator has. It gives up on the whole field and lies back down in the grass. This is why a house with 600 movies can still produce the sentence, "There's nothing to watch." It was never a shortage of prey. It was an abundance of prey with no visible value, thrown at a brain that was built for scarcity, not for 600 choices at once. Think about the last time you closed the app and watched nothing at all. Your brain was not malfunctioning that night. It was doing exactly what kept your ancestors alive across a few 100,000 years on the Savanna, walking away from a hunt that was not going to pay off. It simply did not know it was aiming that old instinct at a rectangle of light in your living room instead of an open field at dusk. That instinct does not check a calendar. It does not know the year. It only knows two things: an unclear reward and a body that cannot afford to waste its energy chasing it. Every scroll session is a hunt your nervous system quietly runs and abandons, dozens of times before you have even picked a show. No wonder the couch feels heavier some nights than others. Now multiply that hunt by 4 remotes on the same coffee table, 4 separate fields of prey behind 4 separate apps. Your ancestors only ever had to read one horizon at a time, one herd, one set of tracks in the dirt. Tonight you are asking the same ancient wiring to scan 4 horizons back to back on a system built for exactly one. And here is the strange comfort in that. You were never lazy for closing 4 apps in a row without picking anything. You were never broken for feeling exhausted by a menu. A field with 6,000 titles scattered across 4 different apps is not a gift to a brain built by scarcity. It is a herd too large and too foggy to hunt safely, and your oldest instincts know it even when the rest of you does not. Somewhere on that Savanna, a lion is lying in the shade, well-fed, unbothered, having already decided which chases were worth its strength that day. It did not chase every gazelle in sight. It chased the one worth chasing, and let the rest of the herd wander off without a second look. That is not failure. That is exactly how a predator stays alive long enough to hunt again tomorrow. Your brain does not think Netflix is boring. It thinks every thumbnail is a dying prey wearing an easy disguise, a 97% match, 5 stars, a face you already trust, and every good hunter on earth knows the easiest looking catch is exactly the one most worth doubting.